This movie predicted like 3 Black Mirror episodes before they ever aired, and yet somehow it totally misses the point entirely. I'm Seth, and it's day 31 of 365 reviewing every movie I've seen in theaters with the stubs to prove it. Today is Eagle Eye, directed by DJ Caruso and starring Shia LaBeouf. Quick announcement, I'm moving to Seoul, South Korea next week. This is going international. If you want to help support, jump over to my Patreon or just give me a follow here. Eagle Eye opens with literal, actual war crimes and then asks us to root against the AI that wants to hold its own government accountable for making it. The movie is totally uninterested in questioning the system that leads to this kind of killer AI, and instead wants to rest it solely on one evil bad apple within the government. We've heard that one before, haven't we? It's just a Terminator reskin on rails. There's no heart, there's no creativity, just lots of plot holes and paranoia. Shia is serving his usual buffet from the early aughts. Rosario Dawson gets benched entirely, and Billy Bob Thornton is here working absolute overtime to convince us that this movie's better than it is. The explosions? Solid. The message? DOA. Oh, Eagle Eye. This one came out right around the Disturbia era. I think that's the same director, actually. I hadn't seen that one when I saw Eagle Eye. I had just seen Transformers, which we already talked about. So basically, I was here to stand Shia LaBeouf. This was by no means one of my favorite movies walking out of it as a teenager. I was impressed by it. I liked it. And I think because it is so watered and dumbed down, it was something that I felt like I really wrapped my head around when I watched it. And I wasn't really paying attention to like critical scores or Rotten Tomatoes or anything like that at the time. Not that I put a lot of stock in those now, but to see 27% on this and then thinking back to, I hadn't seen this since the theaters, so thinking back I was like, damn, I remember kind of liking this movie, so I wonder what the issue is. Going into it with a more critical adult eye this time, I was really blown away by the filmmaking. This is a well-constructed movie. The scene construction and editing, the action, the beats, everything is timed and themed out really well. The score can be a little oppressive at times, but again, this is trying to convince you that it's way more bombastic than it's actually willing to explore. You can tell Shia LaBeouf's not exactly on autopilot, but not exactly doing anything different than what he does in Transformers. There's more control to this character. There's a little more emotional side shown in the first 35, but by the time we get to the back half, you could add Transformers into the background and they wouldn't be out of place, to say the least. Michelle Monaghan's bringing a heart to the center of the movie, but I don't know if she's leading as well as Rosario Dawson probably could have done at the time. Honestly, I feel like if you swap their characters, the movie probably works a little better. So then what is it about this movie that doesn't really work for me as an adult? Well, I'll tell you, that opening sequence feels borderline sacrilegious. It feels downright unpatriotic, and it's such a weird fucking tone to open your movie on. For anyone not aware, and I don't know how else to do this review other than to call this out directly, our government is guilty directly of the crimes that this movie's fictionalizing. We get Michael Chiklis here to raise an ethical concern over this idea, and then we have a maniacal-sounding president execute this order to kill people during a funeral. Our American government, Mr. Barack Obama, Mr. George W. Bush, Mr. Joe Biden, Mr. Donald Trump, all of them have used drones to commit war crimes during their presidencies. And so to make American entertainment centered around the actual damage that we inflict on lives around the world, to make light of it and then to not want to explore it at all within the subtext of the film, this is a really cowardly movie, in my opinion. It instead opts to place the blame on one bad apple, which is exactly the white supremacist talking points of anyone who doesn't want our government questioned. But you don't pour this kind of money into a project like this under one fucking person. This is also my same issue with Oppenheimer, the way that it places everything into one character, because that's what's required of a movie, but then the conversations around it really don't want to put blame back on anyone else or make anyone else stand 10 toes in on their business and claim it for our government. Our government made this killer AI, not just the one bad guy in charge. And a movie that's willing to use a system but not question the system, especially when you're using normal people as the POV characters, it just ends up feeling like an espionage roller coaster that's not really meant to nourish me mentally. Like I said at the top, Black Mirror is going to investigate every single technology within this with much more in-depth personal looks and questions the system that puts us there innately. That's the presupposition of Black Mirror, is to question these things. Eagle Eye just wants to focus in on the paranoia. You can hear things in the background like, oh, the government can hear you on your phone. Yeah, this is all absolutely true, especially living in this surveillance state of 2025, where we can have literal AI breaking down and listening to these conversations instead of an NSA agent. It's kind of crazy the way that this movie's paranoia does predict the future by being willing to explore it at least a little, but all it's really doing is kind of poking its nose in the door, taking a look around, and then leaving. A toothier version of this movie plays really, really fucking well. An even more paranoid, cynical take would at least be wanting to explore how the fuck did we get here. And if you want to end on a positive note, if you need this to be a summer action blockbuster, because this is a mid-September movie for me, then at least be willing to stake your claim on questioning the entire system that got us here. It's just a little too Michael Bay, a little too jingoistic, a little too pre-MAGA patriotic for me to really want to cheer for any of these characters. Except for our two main POV characters, who both end up being hardened criminals by the end of this. Maybe a comedy version of this works better, where you can do something a little more slapstick in between. It definitely would have utilized Shia LaBeouf better in that aspect. I don't know, this just feels like a have your cake and eat it too kind of scenario, where I just don't end up with a lot of enjoyment walking out of it. Part of this is also painted by the fact that I know I have to watch Quantum of Solace next, which I did a film rescue on a few years back, and this movie's not aging well, let me put it that way. And say what you will about Chappie, but that movie's basically a similar plot, but way more interested in delving into the humanity of us inventing artificial sentience and the surveillance state that you could live in underneath of that sort of AI. Chappie even goes out of its way to call directly into question the governments that would put those kinds of things in place, the people that they hired to make these kinds of machines being kind of innately evil, and it all being a systemic issue, versus this just kind of toothless, unferal, muzzled version of this story. And honestly, I would take Shia LaBeouf in a Terminator movie, especially after doing Transformers. Just give him all the robot movies. We've got Quantum of Solace tomorrow. You'll definitely want to follow as I fly out for South Korea. Like I said at the top, this journey's going to keep going. I'm going to keep these videos coming out every single day. So this time next week, I will be coming to you from Seoul, South Korea. If you want to help support this journey, head over to my Patreon. You get early access to these reviews. I'll be posting podcasts over there. I personalize the posts a little bit, and I'm giving away ticket stubs to anybody that's signing up, so that's something you can have in hand as I depart from this country. For my personal post and story updates, you can check me out on Instagram at SethXDecker across everything. I think that's going to do it for this one. As always, I'll see you tomorrow.